الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. To proceed, continuing on with الحقوق المشتركة بين الزوجين, the shared rights and responsibilities between the spouses. The shared rights and responsibilities between the spouses. So far we said that, and really what was mentioned in the foreword of the Shaykh or the introduction of the Shaykh for the issue of the shared rights and responsibilities between the spouses summarized everything that he mentions as regards what is included in husnul mu'ashara, and in good dealings and good marital relations with one another. And what he outlines thereafter is the details of what was mentioned in the foreword and in the introduction to the subject matter. And these things without a doubt are tremendous, and it's not just any empty speech that doesn't have action connected to it. And what we're hearing from the words of the Shaykh isn't any some istinbatat that he came up with, that he understood that nobody ever understood before him, these sorts of things. These are things that, and the Shaykh, he says that they are the huquq, the rights. There are things that are responsibilities, wajibat yuthabu fa'iluhum tithalan yastahiqu al-iqaba tarikuh, and that a person, if they implement sincerely for Allah, following the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're going to be rewarded for them. And if they leave them off, they deserve the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And without a doubt, it is something that is seen, the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in the dunya before the hereafter, as regards being negligent, and these things that the Shaykh is mentioning here that are al-huquq al-mushtarika, shared rights and responsibilities between the spouses. And if the only thing that a person encountered as a punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for leaving off these things, and are the humum and ahzan and ghumum, and the stress and the sadness, the grief that comes about, where a person's home is a place where he is uncomfortable, with a place where he should feel the most sakina, and he feels the most uncomfortable. And if that was enough, and if that was the only punishment that came about as a result of negligence regarding these things, it would be enough of a punishment. It would be enough of a punishment. And so, recapping on some of what was mentioned, the first shared right between the spouses is that they mutually advise one another with the truth, and mutually advise one another, or they mutually cooperate upon obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They mutually cooperate upon obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they remind one another to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is tajseed al-mawaddati wa rahma fil hayat al-zawjiyya, is that they embody and set an example and make a reality the affair of rahmah, of mercy, and al-mahabbah. Look at these first two things. And if children don't see them growing up, if they don't see that their parents were people that cooperated in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and were mutually concerned with advising each other with the patience, or advising one another with the truth, and advising one another to have patience, and they weren't people who were concerned with beneficial knowledge and what Allah has ordered and what Allah has forbidden, and making sure that the house and the home was built upon obedience to Allah and obedience to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then what do you think is going to become of the children? What do you think is going to become of those children who grow up in a home that has that type of negligence and that type of disregard for the most important of affairs, and that is built upon the brink of collapse? It's not built upon the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, أَفَمَنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى تَقْوَى مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرَضْوَانٍ خَيْرٍ أَمَّنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى شَفَا جُرُفٍ نَارٍ فَانْهَارَ بِهِ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمٍ. Is the one who built his structure upon the taqwa of Allah and seeking the good pleasure of Allah better, the one who built his structure upon the brink of collapse? Here, speaking about the building of a masjid, which is the gathering and assembling place of the individuals of the community. And we said the community is nothing but an assembly and a gathering of homes and families in reality. And the same applies to the house. And he is the one who built his house upon the taqwa of Allah, seeking the good pleasure of Allah better, the one who built his home upon the brink of collapse. And his home is not built upon the taqwa of Allah, seeking the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَانْهَارَ بِهِ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمٍ. And so he collapsed along with it into the fire of hell. The person who did not actualize and implement al-mawadda wa rahmah, which is from the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in Surah Al-Rum, He said, تبارك وتعالى ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. And from the clear signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the things that show us about the knowledge of Allah, the power of Allah, the wisdom of Allah, the mercy of Allah, the greatness of Allah, the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that Allah has created for us from ourselves azwajan, spouses, litaskunu ilayha, so that you can find sakina with them. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And a person who never has these things, and he doesn't have any sakina in his home, where in the world is he going to find sakina? If he can't find peace at home, where is he going to find peace? If he doesn't have rahmah and mawadda in his home, if he doesn't have love and mercy in his home, where is a person going to find love? And where is a person going to experience mercy? أَسْتَوْصُوا بِأَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّهُمْ مِنَ الْغُرَبَاءِ. That's how they said, advise with good treatment of Ahl Sunnah, they are the ghuraba. And either person upon the Sunnah, the person upon Salafiyya, the person who was trying and aspiring to be upon istiqamah, everywhere he goes, he feels wahsha. Everywhere he goes, he feels ghurba, he feels some type of strangeness. If he can't find peace at home, where's he going to find peace? If he doesn't get love at home, where is he going to get love? If he doesn't feel mercy at home, where is he going to get mercy? It's something that has left with the departure of time, more and more from the ummah. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, who reported from Aisha, with a chain of narration going back to him, from himself to Imam Malik ibn Anas, who said, حدثنا هشام بن عروة. Hisham ibn Urwa, from the Fuqaha al-Medina Thamaniya, from the 8 jurists of the people of Medina, Hisham ibn Urwa, from the great scholars, reported to us an Abihi, from his father Urwa bin Zubair, from Aisha. What was the relationship between, what was the connection between Urwa bin Zubair and Aisha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Urwa was the son of Az-Zubair. Az-Zubair was married to Asma. Asma was who? To Aisha, the sister of Aisha, making Urwa her nephew. Making Urwa her nephew. He said, سمعت Aisha. I heard Aisha radiallahu anha say, قال Lubayd. Lubayd, a pre-Islamic poet. He said, ذهب الذين يعاش في أكنافهم وبقيت في خلف كجلد الأجرب يتحدثون ملاذة ومخافة ويعاب قائلهم وإن لم يشغب. He said those people يعاش في أكنافهم. يعاش meaning that a person feels alive when they are around them. They feel al-irtiyah. They feel comfort around them. And he في أكنافهم يعني جوانبهم يعني they feel comfortable being next to them, being around them. Those people have departed. Those people are gone. People that you can feel comfortable with, that their statements are not filled with riba, and with that which causes you to doubt what they're upon and their intentions, and so on and so forth, and have suspicions about them. For the most part, those people have departed. ذهب الذين يعاشوا في أكنافهم. Those people that you could really feel comfortable around, get benefit from, any people that you benefit from their suhbah, from their company, those people are gone. وَبَقِيتُ فِي خَلْفٍ كَجِلْدِ الْأَجْرَبِ. And I remain amongst a khalf. And al-khalf is الذُّرِّيَّةُ الطَّالِحَةِ. And I remain amongst a generation of people that are unrighteous. And كَجِلْدِ الْأَجْرَبِ. And they are like having scabies under the skin. They're like having a rash, and being around somebody who has a 7-year itch. If you're around them too much, you're going to, the bugs are going to get you too. Right? Dirty joker. Right? Around some people like that, being around them, just feel like someone had bed bugs or something, crawling, jumping off of them, getting on you. يتحدثون ملاذة ومخافة ويعاب قائلهم وإن لم يشغبي. And when they speak, they only speak for some type of atma and aghrad. They don't say what they say for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to support the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to order with the good and advise people with that which will benefit them. And they speak maladatan wa makhafatan. And they speak for ulterior motives, because of fear, because of some type of expectation of good from another person, so on and so forth, but they're phony people. وَيُعَابُ قَائِلُهُمْ وَإِن لَمْ يَشْغَبِ. And even if a person isn't necessarily saying anything wrong or making trouble, he is still criticizable. He is still somebody that yu'ab, and he is at fault, that you will find fault with. Because they're not sincere people. They're not people that you could be comfortable around. They're not people ordering the good, forbidding the evil, so on and so forth. Subhanallah. And you imagine the child that grows up in a situation where they're not even comfortable at home. Let alone the spouses being comfortable with one another. Or they're not in a situation where they're ordered with the good and forbidden from the evil at home. How in the world they can be forbidden from the evil and ordered with the good? If you don't teach them, who's going to teach them? Subhanallah, the tool of the powers that be, if you will, to push the agenda, to push their agenda and to push their belief system and the morality system upon the dunya, is the greatest tool that they have is twofold. One is compulsory education, and two is the media. So look at the situation of the Muslim children that spend their days in public schools and their evenings in front of the TV. Nobody ever orders them with good. Nobody ever forbids them from evil. They're Muslim only by name. And they grow up, and what happens? In some of the major cities and some of the larger cities on the East Coast, some of the highest ranking drug dealers, highest level drug dealers, and gang leaders are Muslims. They'll give you the salams if they see you. They're driving $200,000 cars, right? And they got everybody underneath them that are willing to kill for them, willing to do anything that you can imagine. They came from homes like that. They came from homes where their fathers, they were Muslim, but what were they? They were following the Wadi world folks, right? They're following Rasul Muhammad's people, or they were following, subhanallah, they're following some dalala, some nationalism, something else. They weren't upon Salafiyah. It's a aib. How in the world do you have the Sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam available to you, the books of the scholars available to you, and you're not ordering your children with the good, forbidding them from the evil, and raising them to be productive members of their community, and a productive Muslim youth who are going to be the next generation of leaders in the community. They're going to be the people that you pass the ball to. The responsibility is going to end at some point with us when Allah takes us, and they have to be the next generation. So look at these huquq that the Shaykh mentions, and you're mutually advising one another with the good. If it's not existing on the level of one parent to another parent, then what example is being set for the children? If the love doesn't exist and the mercy doesn't exist between the parents, then where do the children stand? Where are the children going to be at? As regards knowing how to love somebody, knowing how to show mercy to somebody. فَاقِدُ الشَّيْءِ لَا يُعْطِيهِ وَالْإِينَاهُ يَنْضَحُ بِمَا فِيهِ. The scholars, they say, someone can't give something that they don't possess. Somebody who doesn't possess something can't give it. وَالْإِينَاءُ يَنْضَحُ بِمَا فِيهِ. And a vessel can only give what it holds. I've never seen that. That's why you look at the advice of some of the Salaf. There's a beautiful advice by Al-Khattab ibn Mu'alla al-Makhzumi, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he gave to his son. When his son started to get older, and it's a long advice, and part of the advice is who to marry and who not to marry. Shaykh Abdul Razak ibn Abdul Muhsin Abbad in the Prophet's Master Sallallahu, he said that if you look at the advice that he gave to his son about the types of women that there are, it's like he was trying to scare him away from ever getting married. And he had different types of women, and some women are bitter and mean and cruel and like this and like that. The first thing he said, when you want to marry a woman, he said, لَا عَيْشَ لِلْمَرْءِ مَعَ خِلَافِهَا. He said, there's no way that a man can live comfortably in his life while he is having problems with his wife. And you see it with the brothers, right? You see your brother on a day-to-day basis, and one day he just looks like his whole world has collapsed. You know he's going through it at home. You know he's going through it at home. It's written all over his face. He's walking around the masjid, around the city, pouting. Say, Akhi, it'll be all right. There. Go get some Starbucks. Right? You see, and it affects the person. It affects the person, and he's going through it at home. And it's a difficulty for him. It's a difficulty for the brother. And he said, there's no way a person can live comfortably while he is having khilaf with his wife. He said, فَإِذَا حَمَمْتَ أَن تَتَزَوَّجْ بِالْمَرْأَةِ. He said, when you want to marry a woman, when you have the ambition to marry a woman, فَانْظُرْ إِلَى أُصُولِهَا فَإِنَّ الْأُصُولَ الطَّيِّبَةِ تُثْمِرُ الْفُرُوعَ وَتُثْمِرُ الثَّمَرَاتِ الطَّيِّبَةِ. He said, so when you want to marry a woman, look at her usul, look at her roots. Look at her mother. Look at her grandmother. Look at her aunties. What kind of women are they? And are they women of malaha? Are they women that are pleasant women, nice women, funny women, like that, kind women? Are they like that? Or are they women, as he goes on to describe to his wife, he said, وَمِنْهُنَّ الْكَلْبَةُ الْجَرَارَةِ. He said that some women, they are like evil, vicious, mean female dogs. He said it, not me. Right? Evil, mean, vicious female dogs. And they'll bite you, scathe you, scratch your face, cuss you out, so on and so forth. So if it doesn't exist at home, if they're not learning trust at home, and love and compassion and mercy at home, and the ordering of good and forbidding the evil at home, فَاقِدُ الشَّيْءِ لَا يُعْطِيهِ وَالْإِينَاهُ يَنْضَحُ بِمَا فِيهِ. A vessel cannot give what it doesn't hold. And a person can't give something they don't possess. And it's likely that their marriage will fail, and having the minds that Allah Ta'ala bestowed them with, they'll know as adults that many of their problems stem from you. Hey, you know what? I never got that growing up. I never saw a functional home. I grew up around dysfunction. Right? You'll be the cop-out. Right? When they cut up and they mistreat their husband or their wife, I'm like, I'm sorry, that was my mother speaking. That was my father speaking. That's something I didn't learn growing up. I didn't learn that growing up. He said, for verily, usulun tayyiba. For verily, good roots give good fruits. Good roots give good fruits. And so the reality of the affair is hakada. And here's a beautiful advice that was given by Muhammad ibn Ibrahim, or Muhammad al-Bashir al-Ibrahimi rahimahullah ta'ala, from the Algerian scholars, and who died back around the 50s or so, the late 50s. There's a beautiful advice that he gave. He said that we cannot pass poison weaponry to the next generation of children. And we have been poisoned we have been poisoned. He said it wouldn't be from uquq, it wouldn't be from mistreatment of our parents to state the reality of the affair and make tashkhisul adwa. I need to identify the cause of our problems. The cause of our problems is how we was raised, how we came up, and what we were given. We were given poison weapons, and we cannot pass them on to the next generation. Beg Allah, plead Allah, fight with your nafs. Fight against the shaitan and prevent yourself from passing it on for the next generation. And if your wife or your husband isn't enough of a reason, if your concern for them or care for them is enough of a reason to fulfill these rights, as we said before, and the fact that Allah will ask you should be enough. Love yourself enough. Love yourself enough not to self-destruct. And love your children enough not to self-destruct and to destroy your family. He said as regards the shared rights, continuing, he said, بَذْلُ الثِّقَةِ وَإِحْسَانُ الظَّنِّ. And he is that the people, they show, the husband and the wife, they show confidence in one another, that they trust one another. And they have good thoughts about one another. Every relationship in the dunya is built upon trust. If people don't have trust, they can't grow, they can't do anything. You can't do anything without trust. If everything that a person does is suspicious, and you don't trust them, and you don't feel comfortable with them, who can live like that? It was reported from Ja'far bin Muhammad al-Sadiq, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he said, أبغض إخواني إلي من يتكلف لي وأتحفظ منه وأحب إخواني إلي من أكون معه كما أكون بنفسي. He said, the most disliked of my brothers to me are those people that are unnatural in dealing with me and I'm on guard against them. See, people have irtiyah. You can be comfortable when you go home. You can be comfortable around your friends. You can be comfortable around those people that are closest to you. More than people that you're not that close to. When you go home, you're supposed to be able to let your hair down. When you go home, you're supposed to be, as some of the Salaf they said, Al-mar'u fi baytihi shabiyyun, that the man in his home is a child. Goofy. Joking. And he's at home, he's loose. With his family, he's loose with his kids. He can't be like that outside. If he was to be like that outside, nobody would take him seriously, right? But he's in his home, he's different. He's comfortable. He's like a child at home. Stop playing. Calm down, right? And he's always joking with his wife, playing with his kids, so on and so forth. Al-mar'u fi baytihi shabiyyun. And a man in his home, he's like a child. He's comfortable like that. And he's comfortable like that. And there is some trust, some confidence, some comfortability that exists at home. And again, if the children don't learn that at home, where are they going to learn? Where are they going to learn to have trust? He said, فَيَجِبُ عَلَى كُلِّ مِنَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ أَن تَصْدُرَ أَقْوَالُهُ وَتَصَرُّفَاتُهُ بَعِيدَةً عَنَ الْحَيْثِ وَالتَّشْكِيكِ أو التكذيب أو إساءة الظن بصاحبه. He said it is necessary and required for the husband and the wife that their statements and their behavior is taken without التشكيك والتكذيب أو إساءة الظن بصاحبه. And that what they do and what they say, what each of them says and what each of them do, and he is not viewed in the light of al-hayf. And that somebody's trying to oppress you. You just did that to spite me. You just did that to hurt me. Or a tashkik. Or somebody hears what somebody else said or did, and they cast doubt about their intentions. Or a takdeeb. The Salaf, they used to say that it is important to raise your children. Or they used to say to their children, لا تسمع كلمة تصدر من مسلم إلا تحمله أحسن المحامل. He used to teach the children this. Never hear a statement that comes from a Muslim except you understand it in the best light. And to understand what people say in the best light, not to put a negative connotation, a negative spin upon everything that is said and done. Calls it tashkik, a takdeeb. Somebody says something and you oppose them. You argue with them, you accuse them of lying, you accuse them of being disingenuous, you accuse them of being phony, and so on and so forth. Or إِسَاءَةُ الظَّنِّ بِصَاحِبِهِ. And that they understand what each other says and does in the best light, and not have إِسَاءَةُ الظَّنِّ, and not have bad thoughts about one another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Hujurat, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. O you believe, abstain from much su'adhan. And he abstain from a majority of su'adhan. For verily, some dhan, some suspicions are a sin. Some suspicions are a sin. It doesn't mean that a person is naive, that a person is just walking around and he not knowing right from left or up from down, and he doesn't see things that are right in front of his face, and he warning signs that things are going wrong right in front of his face, and some things, there's only one way that you can understand them. Some things that are said and done, there's only one way that you can understand them. It was reported from Umar that he said, احترزوا من الناس بسوء الظن. And you protect yourself from the people by having سوء الظن, meaning لمن أتى بأسبابه. It means for the one who deserves that you be suspicious of them. And that they have exhibited that they are not trustworthy. They have exhibited that they are up to no good, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, if you have no reason to be suspicious, if you have no reason to understand things in the worst light, then you put the best construction upon things. And even for those things that there is no reinterpreting from what you hear from your spouse, and a person tries to the best of their ability to forgive and to overlook. To forgive and to overlook, so long as that is possible. Ibn Hazm rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَالْإِحْسَانُ إِلَى النِّسَاءِ فَرْضٌ. He said, kind treatment of the woman is mandatory. وَلَا يَحِلُّ تَتَبُّعُ عَثَارَاتِهِمْ وَلَا يَحِلُّ تَتَبُّعُ عَثَارَاتِهِمْ. He said that good treatment of the woman is mandatory, and it is not permissible to seek after their faults, to look after their mistakes, to spy upon your spouse, and to find out what they did wrong. To find out, I know you're up to something, I know that you didn't do what I asked you to do, these sorts of things. A person has to be very careful having unhealthy suspicions concerning their spouse. وَمَنْ قَدِمَ مِنْ سَفَرِهِ لَيْلًا فَلَا يَدْخُلْ بَيْتَهُ إِلَّا نَهَارًا إِلَّا أَنْ يَمْنَعُهُ مَانِعُ عُذْرٍ. So and we know that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions here something that came from the Prophet ﷺ. The person who comes home from traveling at night, he should wait till the morning to enter his home. He should wait till the morning to enter his home. And here's the Nabi ﷺ, he said, in one narration, to at least announce that you are coming home. And to send somebody forward to announce that you are coming home, so that the woman can shave things that need to be shaved, and comb her hair. وَتَلَمُّ شَعْثًا حَتَّى تَسْتَحِدْ مَغِيبَةً. Until she shaves those hidden places, and until she combs her hair. Right? The person, the point the scholars they mention from these narrations is that a person shouldn't purposely go home in the nighttime to see if he could try to find his wife doing something wrong, having suspicions about his wife, so on and so forth. بل ينبغي أن يكون كل منهما واثقا من صدق أقوال صاحبه وإخلاص نصيحته له. He said, but rather, this is going back to the words of the Shaykh Muhammad Ali Furqos, he said, but rather it is befitting that each of them, and it is necessary that each of them, that they trust the trueness of the statements of their spouse, and that the advice whatever advice they give them has come from sincerity. That was sincere advice. لذلك وجب أن يكون كل واحد صادقا مع صاحبه مخلصا له آمينا تجاهه. And at the same time, he said, for this reason, it is mandatory that each of them be truthful with the other, and sincere towards them, and trustworthy towards them. There's a tremendous book, a very, very tremendous book, called حقيقة الكذب, the reality of lying, by Shaykh al-Allama Abdul Rahman al-Muallimi rahimahullah ta'ala. And in this book, he said that even those things that there is a rukhsa for, even those things that there is a rukhsa for that are closer to ma'arith, and closer to a person saying ambiguous phrases that can be taken one way or another. And a person saying things that can be taken one way or another. He said even as regards those things, a person should try to stay as far away from them as possible. He said because trust is something that once it is lost, it is hard to regain, or nearly impossible. Once trust is gone, it is nearly impossible to regain. And you find that that is the case. And if a sister falls into something unbecoming and unbefitting of a Muslim woman, or if a brother falls into something unbecoming or unbefitting of a Muslim man, as regards their dealing with the other sex, as regards their dealing with a co-worker, or dealing with somebody that they want to marry, and the way they went about it, and the way that they went through the murasalat, and either communications with one another, saying things that were improper, that were uncovered by one of the spouses. Once that trust is gone, it is nearly impossible to regain. That is nearly impossible to regain. And if the wife no longer trusts the husband, 5 years can go by, a decade can go by, right? Women have a hard time forgetting, right? Won't forget it. She won't forget it. The husband, even more, he has ghayra, and ghayra is from the asl of the deen. His protective jealousy over his woman folk is from the core of the religion. Ghayra in general is from the core of the religion, and included in that is his sentiments towards his wife, that he doesn't want anyone yuzahimuhu fima yakhtassu bihi. He doesn't want anyone to be able to get what is only his, as regards his wife, and that includes his speaking to her. And another man who is not a mahram for her has no business speaking to her, except in a darura, except in a necessity. And we'll come to see in the next talk the different surah and the different types of ghayra that are wajiba, the different types of ghayra that are mandatory for the Muslim woman, or mandatory for the Muslim man to have for his woman. So if you find somebody speaking to her in a manner that is unbecoming Islamically, no matter what she says, no matter how hard she cries or apologizes or whatever, stick a fork in him, he's done. He doesn't have anything else to say to the sister. The majority of situations, they never recover from that, and never recover from something like that. And he's somebody talking to your wife, and he was some type of intimate interest in her. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. So the affair of trust is a tremendous affair. It is a tremendous affair. He says, so it is mandatory upon the both of them, due to this, that what comes from them of statements and actions is truthful, and that they are ameen and tijaha, and that they are trustworthy towards their spouse. فَإِذَا حَدَّثَ فَلَا يُحَدِّثْ إِلَّا بِمَا هُوَ صَادِقٌ فِيهِ. If they say anything to their spouse, they only say what is true. فَإِذَا أَخْبَرَ فَلَا يُخْبِرْ إِلَّا بِمَا هُوَ وَاقِعٌ فِي نَفْسِ الْأَمْرِ. And they don't inform them about something that isn't the reality of the affair. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ صَدَقْ فِي وَعْدِهِ وَأَنْجَزْ. And when they make a promise, they fulfill their promise. كَمَا يَجِبُ أَن يَتَّصِفَ كُلُّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا بِالْأَمَانَةِ تِجَاهَ صَاحِبِهِ فَلَا يَخُونُهُ وَلَا يَغِشُّهُ فِي قَلِيلٍ وَلَا كَثِيرٍ. He said, likewise, along these same lines, it is mandatory that each of them fulfill the trust of the other, that they have an amana towards the other, that they are trustworthy towards the other, and they never betray them in that which is little or that which is much. وَلَا يُزَوِّرْ عَلَيْهِ الْحَقِيقَةِ أو يغر به بحال من الأحوال. They never try to mislead them as regards any affair. They never try to fabricate anything. ولا يظهر له خلاف ما يضمره. And they are real with each other. And they never exhibit that which is contrary to that which is in their chest, that which is in their heart, that which they are thinking, how they feel about something. And that's Allah's virtue. فضيلة مفقودة. It's Allah's virtue. As-saraha. And in people being able to be direct with one another, to be forthcoming with one another. And you find some people, the reason that their marriages collapse or they find themselves in a serious predicament and a family issue, a family problem, is because when things come up, they beat around the bush. They speak in circles. They never get right to the core of the problem. What is the source of the problem? Speaking about it calmly, like adults. What is the source of the problem? And what is the solution to the problem? What is the source of the problem? What is the solution to the problem? But you find that they don't appreciate as-saraha. If you come and you're direct, and you advise your wife comes and she's direct, and she advises you calmly, with ikhlas, with rifq, with intelligence, in a timely fashion, in private, doing those things that are necessary from the etiquettes of giving advice. Your sensibilities are offended, and you feel insulted, and you feel injured. You don't want to hear what she has to say to the end of it. As-saraha fadila. And being able to be direct in what we say is a virtue. Somebody should appreciate having somebody that is patient enough to deal with his problems, to be forbearing until he can make the changes that he needs to make. He should be appreciative of that. And if somebody says something to you, you should say what Umar said. If somebody criticizes you, you should say, رَحِمَ اللَّهُ امْرَأً أَهْدَى إِلَيَّ عُيُوبِ. May Allah have mercy upon a person who showed me my mistakes and my faults, my flaws. Allah have mercy upon that person. And so long as what the person is saying is true, and so long as you know that they are saying it in a way that's not a personal attack, because nobody is going to listen to something that is taqrir. You're challenging somebody. You want to act like the hen in the house. You want to find a reason to hit your husband upside the head with the issue that he has, and because he advised you in the past, and so you're going tit for tat. But rather, you have, as the Shaykh he said, لا يظهر له, and they don't exhibit to their spouse خلاف ما يضمره, and contrary to that which they feel, that which they are thinking. And they're straightforward, they're forthcoming with their spouse. And this is from truthfulness, and it's from building up the thiqah, it's from building up the trust over the years. And this is something that, and he has established, the longer a person is married, the more confidence they should have in their spouse, the better opinion they should have of their spouse, the more trust they should have in their spouse. رابعا, the fourth shared right of the spouses is a tahalli bi khuluq al-sabr wa ihtimal al-adha, is that they adorn themselves and beautify themselves with the characteristic of patience and being able to bear the harms of each other. To bear the harms of each other. Anything that is disliked that comes from your spouse, that you are willing to be patient and to bear that. فقد أوجب الإسلام على الزوجين احتمال كل واحد منهما أذى الآخر. Islam has obligated upon the two spouses to bear the harms of each other. Islam has what? Has obligated upon the two spouses to bear the harms of one another. وَالصَّبْرَ عَلَى مَا لَا يُعْجِبُهُ مِنْهُ مِنْ أَقْوَالِهِ وَتَصَرُّفَاتِهِ وَسِيرَتِهِ. And to be patient with what a person doesn't like of someone else's statements and someone else's behavior and someone else's general overall way with them. إذا الواجب أن يستحضر كل منهما معاني العفو والتسامح ورأفة والصفح الجميل إلى جانب العتاب والقسوة والشدة والاعتراف بالحسنات والمزايا إلى جوار التقصير والمآخذ والعيوب. He said, as much as that it is necessary and mandatory that each of them is cognizant of the importance of the meanings of overlooking and tasamuh and tolerance and tolerating one another, wa ra'fa and kindness, wa safh al-jameel. The ulama, they say the difference between al-afu wa safh, between pardoning and overlooking, is al-afu tarku al-intiqam ma'a al-qudra. Is that a person that they what? That they leave off get backs upon a person. They don't get back at the person. They don't get revenge against a person, even if they are able. And so they don't go tit for tat. Right? Tarkul intiqam. And the meaning of as-safh, of overlooking, is tarka tahadduthu bihi batinan. Is that a person stops thinking about it. That's the meaning of overlooking. That they stop thinking about it. They don't bring it up. They don't bring it up a year later, a month later, 10 years later, 5 years later, so on and so forth. As-safhul jameel. They don't even think about it. They're not contemplating about it. They're not having a conversation with themselves, a tahadduth, and constantly reflecting and contemplating over the negativity that happened. And all the khair that happened. Look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran. And look who He said it to. He said, وَلَا تَنْسَأُ الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. And don't forget the fadl, the virtue, the goodness that existed between you. Allah said this to a man. Allah said this as regards the man who divorces his wife before consummating. Don't forget the fadl between you. Don't forget the goodness that existed between you. He hasn't even consummated. And included in consummation is ma fi hukm. And is that which is included in the ruling of consummating. And what is enough to be considered consummating in Islam? Al-khalwa. That he's alone with the girl. He hasn't even been alone with her in a way where he could have actually consummated. Right? As regards this woman, la tansa'ul fadla bainakum. Allah said to the men who divorce their wives without consummating and even really being alone with them like that, don't forget the goodness that existed between you. And there's a reason that you got married. There's a reason you paid her the dowry. There's a reason that you agreed for her to be your wife. Don't forget the fadl that exists between you. Even after divorcing her. Even after divorcing her. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he warned the woman from being, the woman from being ungrateful for al-mun'imin. Who are the mun'imin? They said, O Messenger of Allah, what do you mean by the mun'imin? The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that a man will have been married to you for years and showed you good treatment and so on and so forth, and then divorce you. And you'll say, I never saw any good from him. And it is impermissible for a woman to be ungrateful to her ex-husband. It is impermissible for a woman to be ungrateful to her ex-husband. And it is incorrect for a person to be ungrateful for the goodness that has existed with somebody that they haven't even consummated with. What about the sisters keep popping out kid after kid after kid? Year after year after year. Many brothers don't even have the financial means to support the children that they keep having. And the sister, she's been married to you for 6 years, she has 7 kids. Right? And she says something you don't like, and you're ready to let her go. Allahu Akbar. Ya hada. And is this from ar-rujula? Is that from integrity? No, is that how you would want somebody to do your daughter? So the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُوصِيكُم بِنِسَاءِ خَيْرًا ثَلَاثًا. He said, indeed Allah advised you with good treatment of the woman. He said it 3 times, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, فَإِنَّهُنَّ أُمُّهَاتُكُمْ وَبَنَاتُكُمْ وَخَالَتُكُمْ. He said, for verily the women, they are your mothers, and they are your daughters, and they are your aunts. Meaning, treat your wife like you would want somebody to treat your mother, like you would want somebody to treat your sister, like you would want somebody to treat your aunts. Is that how you would want somebody to treat your mother? Is that how you would want somebody to treat your daughter? Better not. Right? Better not treat your daughter like that. Is that how you want somebody to treat your aunt? Huh? وَالْخَالَ بِمَنْزِلَةِ الْأُمِّ, as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, the maternal aunt is like your mother's sister is like your mother. Right? And you see that. Many of us, we grow up, we have maternal aunts, our mother's sisters. They're like mothers to us. They're kind to us like this. Is that how you want somebody to treat your mother's sister? And how kind she's been to you over the years, so on and so forth. That's not how you want the woman to be treated, so why would you treat a woman like that? Why would you treat a woman like that? And so this affair is min aham al-muhimmat, the most important of affairs pertaining to al-huquq al-mushtarika, that they are as mandatory for them to be patient with one another. It is mandatory upon them to be patient with one another. He said, and so they had to be cognizant of the meanings of pardoning and tolerance and kindness and overlooking in the most beautiful fashion. إِلَى جَانِبِ الْعِتَابِ وَالْقِسْوَةِ وَالشِّدَّةِ. And they had to be cognizant of these things in comparison to al-itab and al-qaswa wa shidda. And when you can be like this, in comparison to rebuking and being high and being harsh and severe and stern. والاعتراف بالحسنات والمزايا إلى جوار التقصير والمآخذ والعيوب. And they had to be cognizant of and recognize the good that has come from their spouse and the things that distinguish their spouse from other people. And in comparison, when comparing it next to the shortcomings and the defects and so on and so forth that are there, you have to look at what are the good qualities of the person when looking at their bad qualities. This came from where? It came from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hadith is collected by Muslim. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنا إن كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر. Let no believing man dislike the believing woman, meaning his wife. If he dislikes some characteristic of hers, he will be pleased with other characteristics. He will be pleased with other characteristics. And those characteristics that she has, sometimes they don't work out for you, but sometimes they do work out for you. And how people are, and the akhlaq of people, which is suratul insan al-batina, yani how a person is on the inside, how they look on the inside, is the akhlaq of a person. And those things sometimes are used the wrong way. It's not possible for most people to change those things that are deeply ingrained within them. But rather they should be, as the ulama they say, they should use those things in the best way. They should use those things in the best way. And some people are a little bit more audacious than others. And that could be detrimental or it could be beneficial. Some people, they have more zeal than others. Some people are more chill than others. Some people are too chill. Some people, they don't get up and do what they need to. And when disaster strikes, they don't take initiative and so on and so forth. But they're just always relaxed. Sometimes it's not time to be like that. So sometimes qualities that the husband or the wife may have may sometimes be something that you like and sometimes be something that you dislike. Some people, they like women that are a little bit more spunky, right? Sarcastic. Some people like that. Right? A sister that's sarcastic, she always has something witty to say. Some women are very extremely witty. extremely witty woman, right? You like that, usually, until it's used against you, right? I can't believe that sister said that, right? So it might even be the same quality that emanates from the same thing, that at times you like it, at times that you dislike it. You have to learn how to overlook, to weigh between these mazaya and these hasanat, any type of defect and shortcoming that they have. فإن وجدت الكراهية من أحد الزوجين الآخر أو النفرة منه والرغبة عنه من غير فاحشة أو نشوز فعلى الطرف الآخر أن يتحلى بخلق الصبر تجاهه ويحتمل الأذى وقلة الإنصاف منه. So if any of the spouses dislike something that they see from the other spouse, or feel as though they don't want to be around the other spouse, without that spouse having committed fahisha, or without that spouse falling into some lewd, nasty type of thing, or that which comes close to it, or some type of full-blown nushuz, she is still giving you your rights, or he is still giving you your rights, he is spending upon you, so on and so forth. You're getting your rights, there's something that happened that you don't like. Somebody says something to you, and you wish that they had said it and phrased it with a better construction or whatever. He said, when this sort of thing happens, without there being fahisha or nushuz, marital discord, meaning where the woman is refusing intimacy and refusing to fulfill the rights of the husband and these sorts of things, without there being fahisha involved, that she has fallen into fahisha, then it is upon the other party. Is on the other party, when they feel some type of dislike for their spouse because of some statement or action or so on and so forth that does not enter into fahisha or nushuz, and yatahalla bi khuluq as-sabr, is that it is mandatory upon them to adorn themselves with the characteristic of patience towards that person. Wa yahtamilu al-adha, and that they bear the harm of that person, wa qillatun as-safi minhu, and that they bear and are patient with the lack of objectivity and fairness in that person's behavior. فَإِنَّ فِي الصَّبْرِ مَجْلَبَةٌ لِلْخَيْرِ وَتَفَادِيًا مِنْ انْهِيَارِ سَقْفِ الْحَيَاةِ الزَّوْجِيَّةِ بَيْنَهُمَا. وفي سياق هذا المعنى قال تعالى ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا سيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. He said, for indeed in patience is that which will facilitate goodness between the spouses, and it is that which will prevent inhiyaru saqf al-hayat al-zawjiyya, it will prevent the roof of marital life from caving in, from the ceiling of your marriage caving in and crushing the inhabitants of your home. وفي سياق هذا المعنى, and in the context of this meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, here Allah speaking to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in particular, and then the Muslims in general, about how to deal with the kuffar. How to deal with the kuffar. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan. There are 3 places in the Quran where Allah mentions similar to this advice. How to deal with the kuffar and the shayateen of the jinn. خُذُ الْأَمْرِ وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. In one place Allah said, خُذُ الْعَفْوَ, meaning اقبل ما يتيسر من أخلاق الناس ولا تنتظر منهم أن يتكلفوا لك. Accept that which is natural from the characteristics of people. Don't expect from them what isn't to be expected from them. Don't expect people to change for you, that they're going to change their whole personality for you. خُذُ الْعَفْوَ, and take that which is simple from the character of the people, and that which comes natural for them, and try to find the good in it. وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ, and order with the good. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ, and turn away from the jahilin, those people that are ignorant in behavior. As we say, ignorant. Those people that are ignorant in behavior. Turn away from them. And if somebody of their lost cause, turn away from them. وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, And if an inclination of evil, a whispering and inciting of evil comes to you from the shaitan, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, and seek the refuge of Allah. Indeed, Allah is Samiyun Alim. Indeed, Allah is the all-hearing and the all-knowing. Tabarak wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to deal with the kuffar, with the shayateen of mankind and the jinn kind. To deal with the most evil of the creation in the best way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ سَيِّئَةً. He said, defend yourselves with that which is best as regards the sayyah. نَحْنُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. And indeed we know best as regards what they are saying. And they were saying horrible things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, horrible things about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, harming and oppressing the Muslims. Defend yourself in a way that is better as regards the sayyah, as regards the mistreatment of you. How the Muslim deals with the enemy of Allah and the enemy of Islam. In the best way, with intelligence, with wisdom. And the last verse, Muhammad Amin al-Shanqiti, he mentions these are 3 places in the Quran that Allah mentions these advices. He said, إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Defend yourself in a manner that is best. And if you do so, then you will find that the one that there is adawa, that there is hostility and animosity and hatred and enmity between you and him, will become as though he is your avid supporter. Your worst enemies, if you deal with them, will become, if you deal with them Islamically, will become from your best of friends and your closest of supporters. This is what the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in dealing with the kuffar, who were threatening his life, plotting to assassinate him on multiple occasions. Those people became from the generals and commanders of his armies, defending the frontiers of the Muslims and dying in defense of Islam. Going from being the worst enemies to the religion to people who laid their lives on the line for the religion. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Defend yourself in a manner that is best. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. And the one that there is hostility or enmity between you and him will become as though he is your avid supporter. And so this is how a Muslim is instructed to deal with the kuffar. What about أَقْرَبُ النَّاسِ إِلَيْهِ, the person that is the closest one to them, the closest person to them, their husband or their wife, or their children even for that matter. Some people view their children to be like enemies. And some children look at their parents like they are their enemy when they order them with the good, when they forbid them from the evil, when they prevent them from things that will cause them from self-destructing. They look at their parents as though their parents are out to get them, as though their parents are trying to stop them from having some type of fun or some type of any enjoyment or so on and so forth. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was instructed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have the best treatment for the worst of the creation. And so those people that are closest to a person are more deserving of it. They are more deserving of it. And so a person, it is compulsory upon them, mandatory upon them. There's a duty upon them that they have patience and they bear the harms of others. And the last of the 5 things that are al-huquq al-mushtarika, the shared rights, al-mas'uliyat al-mushtarika fi bina'i usratin mutakamila, is that they have a shared responsibility in building a complete home, in building a complete family. And usra that is mutakamila. Mutakamila is complementary, meaning that they complete one another. That they complete one another. Each of them knowing their roles. We see in the times that we live in, the roles have been reversed. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam threatened with some of the most grievous of punishment for those people who reverse the roles in the family. When he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ثَلَاثَةٌ لَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَلَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِمْ يَعْنِ بِرَحْمَةٍ وَلَا يُزَكِّيهِمْ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. There are 3 people Allah will not look at on the day of judgment, meaning with mercy. He will not speak to them, and He will not purify them from their sins, meaning they will be purged from their sins in the fire. نَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ غَضَبِ اللَّهِ. Allah protect us from His punishment and His anger. And they will have a horrible, great, tremendous punishment. Who did He mention? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-mar'atu al-mutarajjila. The woman that acts like a man. Role reversal. وَالْعَاقُ لِوَالِدَيْهِ. And the child that what? That mistreats his parents. He acts like he is above the parents, like the parents are there. I need to obey him and to listen to his demands and so on and so forth. As though he is not the one who is, as he or she is not the one who is subservient to the parents and in need of the kindness of the parents. But they mistreat their parents and abuse their parents and are disobedient to their parents. What the youth. And the third is a man who doesn't have ghayrah. A man was like a pimp. الديوث الذي وفي رواية الذي يقر بأهله الخبث ولأهله الخبث. And the pimp, the one who allows khubuth for his womenfolk. And his wife wants to run here or there with whoever. She has kuffar friends, they have boyfriends, and they have some of them may have girlfriends. Whatever, right? No ghaira, no type of jealousness, protectiveness for his womenfolk. He's confused. What happened? Where did I go wrong with my daughter? Well, when you send her from 1st grade to 12th grade to a kafir school with hayawanat, with animals, and that are from the most lewd and promiscuous of the creation that ever walked the face of the earth. And they have raging hormones and desires and so on and so forth. أتاني الهوى قبل أن أعرف الهوى فصادفت قلبا خاليا فتمكنا. Desires came to me before I recognized what desires even were, the poet said. And they found a heart that was empty, فتمكنا. And they gained control of the heart. They gained control of the heart. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala in Ad-Da'u wa-Dawa and in Ighathat al-Ahfan and other books, he explained that al-ishq al-muharram, that forbidden lust, forbidden love, forbidden desires are from the greatest of doorways that lead to shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many stories that were narrated by the scholars over the course of history about people that seemingly were strong upon their religion and their nose got wide open. And they fell head over heels for a kafir or a kafira. And they died upon kufr. And they died upon kufr. There was one story was reported, it was mentioned by Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, and mentioned by Ibn al-Jawzi and others. And he by Abdu ibn Abdul Rahim. He said that on one occasion, and he was from the Tabi'een. He said on one occasion, we were traveling in the lands of the Romans. We were traveling in Fi Bilad al-Rum. We were traveling in the lands of the Romans. And we had a shab with us, and who was a'lamana. He was the most knowledgeable of us concerning the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَلَمَنَا بِالْفَرَائِض. And he was the most knowledgeable of us concerning the laws of inheritance in Islam, which is a very difficult and detailed knowledge. He said, and as we were traveling, we passed by a hisn min husunihim. We passed by a fortress from the fortress of the Romans. And he saw a woman, he saw a girl who was standing on top of the wall. And he had went away from the rest of the army, and we thought he went to go answer the call of nature, as they say. He went to defecate or urinate, so on and so forth. He went away, and he asked the girl, كيف السبيل إليك? And how can I be with you? She said, سهل. She said, it's easy. تنصر وادخل الحصن. Just become a Christian and then enter the fortress, and I'm yours. Just become a Christian and enter the fortress, and I'm yours. They didn't know what happened to him. He disappeared. And they felt like, the narrator Abdu ibn Abdul Rahim, he said they felt like every one of them felt like it was their own child that happened to. They didn't know what happened to him. They went by some time later, they saw him standing next to his European girl on top of the wall. He had him a Becky, right? I'm a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, right? Standing next to her on top of the wall. And I'm a pretty Roman girl. And he said, Ya Fulan, what happened to you? What happened to the Quran that you had? What happened to the knowledge that you had? He said, Wallahi, I don't remember anything from the Quran except for one verse. ذَرْهُمْ يَأْكُلُوا وَيَتَمَتَّعُوا وَيُحْيِهِمُ الْأَمَلُ فَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ. Leave them to eat and enjoy themselves and be distracted by al-amal, by thinking that they have long to live. And soon they will come to know the reality. And soon they will come to know the reality. And so the usra is mutakamila. An usra, a family, it is complementary. And in each part of the family has a role to play. They are aiding one another religiously, and they are aiding one another in a worldly sense, with the chores and the responsibilities of the home and so on and so forth. So this is the fifth right, the shared responsibility in building a self-completing family, or a family that is complementary to one another. So Islam has obligated upon the spouses al-qiyam bina'i usratin mutakamila min jami' al-wujuh. That they are to build a complete family in every way. والقيام على تربية الأولاد ورعايتهم من الناحية الصحية والدينية والخلقية والسلوكية. And they are to undertake the rearing and upbringing of the children and safeguarding of the children as regards their health, as regards their religion, as regards their character, as regards their behavior. ويحملهما الإسلام مسؤولية تضييع الأسرة والتقصير في رعاية والتوجيه. And Islam has placed the responsibility upon both of them for neglecting the family or falling short in safeguarding and directing the family. وقد روى ابن حبان وغيره عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الله سائل كل راع عما استرعه أحفظ أم ضيعه حتى يسأل الرجل عن أهل بيته. Reported from Ibn Umar by Imam Abu Hatim Ibn Hibban al-Busti rahimahullah ta'ala, authentically from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he said, indeed Allah will ask every shepherd about the flock that he entrusted to him. Did he safeguard them or did he neglect them? So this is different than the wording that we usually hear, that kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. All of you are shepherd and responsible for their flock. And the difference here, ahafidha am dayya'a, and it gives us more details of what is meant by that. They will be asked about the flock that was left under their care. Did they protect them or did they neglect them? Ahafidha am dayya'a. That is what they'll be asked about. Did they safeguard and protect them or did they neglect them and squander them? Hatta yas'ala ar-rajula an ahli baytihi. To the point that a man will be asked about the members of his household. فالزوج راع في بيته ومؤتمن على من تحت ولايته من زوجة وأولاد وإخوة وأخوات وتقع على عاتقه مسؤولية الإنفاق وحسن العشرة وتعليم الأولاد وتربيتهم بنفسه أو بواسطة ماله. He said, so first and foremost, a husband is a shepherd in his home, and he is responsible for those that are under his wilaya, those that are under his charge, from his wife and his children and his brothers and his sisters, whoever is under his care, that he is taking care of them, meaning his physical brothers and sisters that may be younger, that he is taking care of. وَتَقَعُ عَلَىٰ عَاتِقِهِ مَسْئُولِيَةُ الْإِنفَاقِ. And there falls upon his shoulders the responsibility of spending upon them and treating them with kindness and teaching his children and disciplining his children and raising them himself or with his money. Meaning if he doesn't have knowledge to give them, then he pays somebody to teach them. Even in the time of the Salaf, they had what were called mu'addibun. And they had mentors. They used to hire mentors to teach their children character. They would teach their children how to fight, how to ride horses, how to swim, and how to be honest, how to work, all sorts of things. He said, and so if he doesn't do it himself, then he does it with his wealth, that he supports somebody to teach them. وَيَأْتِي فِي طَرِيعَةِ التَّحْذِيبِ تعليمهم فرائض الدين وتأديبهم بالخلق السامي والأدب النبوي. And it is mentioned in the book At-Tahdhib, and it is mandatory to teach them the obligations of the religion and to impart and to discipline them with good character, with lofty characters, and with the behavior of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَالْمَرْأَةُ مِنْ جِهَتِهَا مُعْتَمَنَةٌ عَلَى بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا. And from the direction of the woman, she is responsible for the home of her husband. وَحَافِظَةٌ لِمَالِهِ. And she is to safeguard his wealth. ومؤكلة بحسن تدبير بيتها وطاعة زوجها وخدمته وتربية أولادها. And she is charged with managing the affairs of the home, obeying her husband, serving her husband. Obeying her husband and serving her husband. Obeying her husband and serving her husband. وتربية أولادها, and raising her children. فهي لهم قدوة صالحة تراقب سيرتهم وترعى نفوسهم وترشدهم إلى ما يقيم دينهم ويحدب أخلاقهم. And so this woman, she is a good and righteous example and role model for her children. She observes their behavior. She safeguards their nufus, their selves and their souls. وَتُرْشِدُهُمْ إِلَى مَا يُقِيمُ دِينَهُم. And she directs them towards that which will establish their religion in a good way for them. And she يُحَدِّبْ أَخْلَاقَهُم, and that which will refine their behavior. وَغَيْرَهَا مِنَ الْوَظَائِفِ الْأَعْمَالِ. And other than that, from the tasks and responsibilities and duties and actions التي تتكامل بها مع مسؤولية الزوج. And that she works to bring into fruition and complete alongside the responsibility of the husband. And we'll close with this, سائلين Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tawfiq wa sadad, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us His divine guidance, tabarak wa ta'ala, and to keep us straight and correct. And we'll continue after Salatul Maghrib, inshallah, with the rest of the advices as regards the rights of the husband and some of the rights of the wife, and we'll restrict ourselves to one of the rights of the husband and one of the rights of the wife that are from the most important of them and some of the most overlooked of them, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.